is leveraging this youthful aspect in technology with maybe some of the boomers in commercial real estate that are slow to adapt, right?
Because did you point at Brian when you said boomers?
So you're wanting to insult 75% of our investors. Okay, I think that's a great idea.
All right. How is it going? And welcome back to another episode of How to Invest in Commercial Real Estate. And we have another guest on the show. But before we get into our awesome guest, we wanted to share a brief update about the recent closing we had in Princeton, right? So if you're on the investor list, you got an email that said, hey, Criterion's doing another deal. We're doing these developments down in Princeton, Texas. Really awesome project. It's 6 different pad sites essentially in front of a brand new Kroger that's being built. So we're doing a learning experience, Fat Burger, Just Breaks, Chipotle, Salad and Go, and 7 Brew. I can't believe I remembered all of that live. Let's go. All right. So that was an almost $3 million equity raise that we've been raising for the past 2 or 3 weeks. We are about to close on that this week. By the time the episode comes out, we'll have already closed. And we are just so excited for that deal. The civil work is already going. We are excited to deliver those pads, and we think the investors are going to hit a home run on that deal.
Yeah, and then we also have closing the loan on RP2 in Owasso.
Yep, that is mobilizing next week, hopefully.
And then Burleson, they've already started, but that loan closing should be next week.
Yep, that's a refinance. Yep.
Okay, so we got a lot of things.
Yeah,
a lot of things closing.
A lot going on, and closings are good.
Closings are good. Closings are good for everyone. But anyway, without further ado, I want to introduce our guest. He is a commercial real estate broker from Tucson, Arizona. Max. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do over there in Tucson, and maybe how you got into commercial real estate.
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, so my niche is industrial brokerage, sales and leasing here in Tucson and Southern Arizona. Worked in corporate brokerage for about 5 years and left about 2.5 years ago and at a smaller, more boutique brokerage. But the bulk of my work is sales and leasing of industrial business parks, industrial land, and also done a couple assemblages, which maybe we can get into in a little bit here. But and then I'm a partner in a few other deals. So
always been in real estate, or how did you initially get into kind of the corporate leasing side? And then I'll ask you maybe who that was as well.
Yeah, so I got my license the summer after high school. Got into residential, worked with some family in residential, wanted to kind of do my own thing and be in commercial. And a few years later, one of the top industrial brokers in town at Cushman reached out to me after I'd been in touch with them for a few years and asked me to come work at Cushman. So worked there for 5 years. And yeah, I mean, really, the way I started my business over there was knocking on doors, cold calling, and then I started a lead generating website because I thought there was opportunity in the digital space because most of my competition is older and they weren't, advertising on Google AdWords or anything like that. So that really put my brokerage business on steroids.
I have some questions about that. That is interesting. So you're using Google Ads. What are you wanting them to hit on? Your brokerage business or industrial properties? What's the target of those Google Ad searches?
Yeah, brokerage. So sales and leasing. So, ideally in this market, I'd have property owners reaching out to me to sell or lease their properties, but I've done, tenant rep, buyer rep, landlord rep, seller rep. My first 6-figure commission came from a Google AdWords lead, and I've never spent more than $300 a month on Google AdWords.
And so the people are searching for industrial properties, industrial sales, industrial brokers, and you're popping up for them?
Yeah, exactly. So it's the cool thing about Google AdWords is these people are already searching for your product. You're just paying to get in front of them. So, and because it's so narrowed down, I can only target, I can target whoever I want, but I only target those who are in the market for industrial property.
And how do you ensure that you're just getting people in the Tucson area versus Albuquerque? Is it geo fenced in a certain way?
This is coming from a guy who obviously doesn't use Google Ads.
Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to learn here, man.
It's okay, guys. It's okay.
Yeah, that's a $1 million question. There's two aspects to it. There's one, you do you pick where you want people searching from. So in 2019, 2020, I was targeting a lot of California business owners because they were moving out here like crazy. That popped off and did really well for me. Another aspect is you have the keywords page. And so I'll only target searches that are industrial real estate in Tucson, warehouses for lease in Tucson, and then a few like suburbs of Tucson. So industrial property in Marana or Vail. And that way I'm just so drilled in and I'm not getting people that are looking for property in Albuquerque. But do I want someone who's in New York that's searching for industrial property in Tucson? Absolutely. And that's a real thing that's happened to me. I posted on Twitter recently in 2020, I did a lease with a manufacturer that moved out here from New York. Since then, I leased him another building. I sold him another building. Now we're out looking to lease an even bigger building. And that's just off of a Google AdWords ad.
I love that.
This is insane because how familiar is this story that getting a real estate license right after high school? I don't know what I'm going to do, but I want to be in real estate. A lot of people make money in real estate. I want to be in real estate. I'm going to get my real estate license. I did that exact same thing, right? So many people all across the country know they want to be in real estate. They graduate high school. College sounds like it sucks, even though I'll probably send my kids to college, but that's a different argument. So you get a real estate license, right?
Yeah, the other thing I noticed is he has a common story, and I'd like to know why you made the jump, but we talk a lot about people jumping from residential real estate to commercial real estate, and you said earlier you decided to make that jump. What was the reasoning behind that?
The numbers aspect always appealed to me, and to be honest, when you look at the newspaper and you see brokers doing $5-10 million deals, it's pretty appealing. I also thought that there was more opportunity in the digital space in commercial real estate. I mean, you think about all the people in commercial real estate, they're mostly boomers. They're mostly hitting the phones and door knocking, which I do as well, and it works. But when you can combine the digital aspect into a space where it's not being utilized, the margins are 10x, even 100x compared to other industries.
Yeah,
I feel like that's our new Who We Are video. We've been trying to figure out how to film this video about who we are, and I think you just summarized it right there. It's leveraging this youthful aspect in technology with maybe some of the boomers in commercial real estate that are slow to adapt, right?
Did you point at Brian when you said boomers?
So you're wanting to insult 75% of our investors. Okay, I think that's a great idea.
No, I'm just saying that's why they love us, right? Because they DocuSign their documents. I'm not mailing them this thick manila folder and they're not mailing it back and they're not sending me a check, right? Like we're ACHing distributions.
We're on the podcast, so they can actually hear us talking about commercial real estate. Most guys or girls in the industry that are older are not doing that. So I get your point. I have
genius.
Yeah, it is. It's great, and I love it. Congrats on the niche you've carved for yourself. So talk to us, because we don't know that much about industrial real estate. We know what it is, but as far as the nuances of it, because we haven't invested a bunch in industrial, what are the pros of industrial real estate, and do you have a lot of investors buying industrial real estate, or is it more companies that you're helping find the space they need for their business?
Yeah, so at this point, I would say all of the above, like when I started or even like 3 or 4 years ago. But right now, the brokerage that I'm at, it's my broker, myself, we have an in-house property manager. So my broker syndicates deals. So he's got like pushing 1 million square feet of industrial business park space. So I do a lot of leasing for him, try to dig up deals for him. And I do some third-party brokerage, but not as much as I used to. I probably say no to more business today than I say yes to. So, but in terms of the investing, why I like investing in industrial, think about this. When the economy contracts, there are businesses that continue to do well. Plumbers, HVAC, electricians. When you have a leak in your property, you're still going to fix it. And then when the suppliers for all of those trades contract, when the economy contracts, they move into industrial business park spaces. So to me, it's like investing in a commodity and just something that's always in demand, that's always affordable. And then you have the replacement cost aspect. It's very difficult to build business parks right now because of the cost of construction. And it's one of the only spaces in the market that just hasn't been built, even with this crazy cycle.
Yeah, and it has been crazy here too. One of the main drivers, there's a couple. Obviously, the economy was super strong, interest rates are super low, but also, you know, legalizing marijuana in our state and surrounding states, they're just buying up in the industrial space for indoor grows, which is put upward pressure on the market. So, what are you seeing out in Tucson? What kind of returns are you able to get investors on these syndicated industrial deals?
Yeah, I would say the market, to be honest, right now, the market's pretty gridlocked. It's really tough to buy a deal right now. I'll just give you an example of one of the most recent ones we did, though. It was an 8-tenant industrial business park, bays from like 2,000 to 7,000 square feet. We bought that at like a 7 cap, but there was some vacancy and some work that needed to be done. But right now we're getting about a 15% return after factoring in our debt on that deal.
So 15% roughly cash on cash?
Yeah.
Which is great. And what, maybe you were able to get debt on that property before it went up?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So you made, what's your rate on that? 4.5 or something?
To be honest, I'm not even sure because I'm a silent partner in it.
Gotcha.
And yeah, I mean, the bulk of my work is in brokerage. I invest in stuff, but I'm not too keen on all the details there.
So
I
Max,
get my mailbox money. I'm happy with it.
yeah. So Criterion, we started out in our line of commercial real estate in our area. We started buying properties in Tulsa where we're from, but found out pretty soon that we needed to expand. I noticed you say you're just in Tucson and the surrounding suburbs. Do you just have so much business that you don't need to expand, or you don't want to travel to expand, or why are you staying in Tucson with most of your business?
Yeah, I would just say because I'm still in my 20s, and I would say I will in the future, but I'm not there yet.
Yeah. So it's still early on in business, and you need to get that under your belt, and then you can expand from there.
Yeah, I mean, there's deals that, every time I have capital, I can deploy it here in Tucson. I know this market so well, but later on, I would say I'd go into other markets.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think this is a really great example for most of the listeners and most people who want to get started in commercial real estate investing or anything in commercial real estate, right? Like, go find a job that can support you in a living. And I say job lightly because it's really not a job, right, Max? Like, you're really the owner of your own business and you're a 1099 subcontractor, and you've probably got this agreement with your broker. So it's not a job, but it is a living that you can earn in commercial real estate while you further your education on how to take down these bigger deals, right? But something that stands out is the fact that you had, like, a lot of your clients and customers you don't even know, right? Because you're getting in front of them on Google. So it's not like they're pre-existing relationships. I would say that's the biggest struggle with people trying to get into commercial real estate. Any facet is, I don't know people with money, or I don't know people that want to buy industrial properties, or I don't know anybody looking to lease something. It's like, well, go into Google and try maybe for a month, spend a few $100s, right? Because a few $100s in Google ads may just get you a $100,000 commission, right?
Yeah.
And then we're taking that, it sounds like, and investing that in somebody else's deal as a silent partner, again, to be a part of it, to learn, to invest it, not just spend it and throw it away, and to hopefully do that yourself. Like you said, you're still young and learning. I'm sure you have ambitions to take down one of these deals by yourself, but it's really admirable. The process you're going through seems very disciplined and forward focused on, hey, I don't necessarily know everything, but what I do know is how to work some Google ads. I've got a real estate license. I know how to lease and sell buildings, and I'm putting the pieces together to do something dangerous, here in a few years.
Right. Yeah. And I would say I'm probably a little more conservative when it comes to investing than, most people. Like, I'm in 2 land deals. When you guys were talking about your pads deal, it kind of reminded me of a land deal that I'm in. But we own that land cash. We just bought another piece of land, quasi retail industrial at the airport. It's all cash. The business park that I spoke about, we're probably right now in this market, probably 40 or 50% LTV. And
on the land,
I've got another, like what I call mini ranch that I just bought. No personal guarantee. I got private money on it and put 20% down. So I just want to head into whatever's next coming in this market, basically in a way where I can't lose, almost a Warren Buffett type of mindset.
Yeah, nice.
So I have a question. I read on your page that you've been closing like 75 transactions a year, which doesn't sound like you have a huge team. So talk to us about, that's over 6 deals a month that you're closing. Tell us about that. How do you facilitate that? Keep track of all that? Do you have a team that helps you close all those?
We have an assistant that we share between my broker and I, but I would say the key to it is just saying no more often than saying yes. So I generate leads, constantly. And then, I almost try and kill the deal as soon as I can with qualifying questions, so I don't waste any time with them. Because if I think, if I ask you, I'll give you an example. Guy reaches out to me and he's 10 to 20,000 square feet. I know I'm so drilled in on my market. I know that there's like 1 or 2 options. Send it off. He doesn't like it. Nope. On to the next one.
Yeah, we've actually done shows where we have to say no, right? Or at least how we go through our different deals, because we get sent multiple deals a day. Of course, it's mass emailing usually, but we've done a show on, going through the process of how do you decide which ones you really want to go after and which ones you don't. So it sounds like you're doing the same thing.
Yeah, give us another qualifying question or two, because I think this is an important point, that people waste their time at a bunch of stuff that's probably not going to make them money. I mean, what is it, like the 80-20 rule, the 90-10?
Yeah.
I mean, the majority of the money that you're going to put in your pocket, it comes from like just a sliver of what you do. And we do that at Criterion a lot. There's a lot of things we don't do in form of management and leasing and all of these facets. And we just try to stay focused. Okay, we will find a management company. We will find a leasing company. Our specialists or our specialty is finding this asset and making sure it's cash flowing. We'll leave. We'll hire experts for the rest.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. What are a couple of your qualifying questions? I call you up and I'm looking for, I want to invest in industrial in Tucson, or I'm looking for space. How do you go about, weeding out the guys that are tire kickers?
Yeah. So mostly who I speak with is business owners. So if a business owner calls me, my first question is going to be, what kind of business do you own? What's the name of your business? I mean, right there, I can pretty much be on the phone with them, look up their business on my phone. If they're a property owner, what's the address of your property? I'll look it up right there. But pretty much, like if a business owner calls me, they're an auto shop. Sorry, can't do it. Most of my clients aren't going to lease auto shops. So, yeah, I mean, what kind of business you have? What's the name of your business? What's the property that you have? And, within 10, 20 seconds, I can pretty much weed them out right there.
Yeah, and that's reason enough to keep the machine going, right? Like, there's no reason to stop these leads if you can qualify them so quickly. We do that same thing with deals. You have to look at so many deals if you're going to buy. You end up saying no more than you say yes, but you have to in order to find the yeses, right? If you spent a week on every single deal you evaluated, or you spent an hour with every single lead, yeah, you would turn the machine off because you're like, oh, I can't handle more than more than 40 leads a week. All I have is 40 hours and it takes me an hour per lead. Well, you may get on the phone with somebody and it takes you 2 minutes. So then all of a sudden you can handle hundreds and hundreds of leads a week where the other person is handling 4 or 40 or whatever.
Right.
Well, super interesting, Max. I love what you're doing. I love the use of technology to generate leads. So many people aren't doing that. They sit around and say, I don't have any leads. Nobody calls me. I suck at brokerage. I quit. And so this is a good encouragement. I'm already thinking about how do we use Google Ads in order to generate, property management business for Precision Equity, or leasing, business for Alicia. I'm sure Criterion, we can start to utilize some of that as well. So I think it's been super interesting.
I need to send Alicia a bill for your time on the podcast promoting the shit out of her third-party leasing. I love it.
Well, then I'll send Criterion a bill and we'll be even. So,
Max, it sounds like if anybody listening to this is looking for industrial space in Tucson, you are the guy. Where can we find you online if we're on Google?
industrialtucson.com, and that's where all my leads come through too. So
awesome.
If you search industrial real estate in Tucson or industrial Tucson, my website's going to pop up first. So
all right, all we ask, Max, is that you find us an industrial deal that you and your partner believe in and send it to us to buy so we can get started in industrial real estate in Tucson.
Sweet.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Max.
I appreciate it, Max.